I'm Raphael Kirsten. So, are you strong? Let's see those muscles!
Today we're talking about Raphael, who is our first Grand Hero battle unit of Book 10. Raphael doesn't appear to be the most standout Grand Hero battle unit ever, but he has a couple interesting traits. One of those might actually make some people use Raphael over Marnie against all odds. Now before we get to that, Raphael is an Axe Armor unit with 59 HP, 49 attack, 31 speed, 49 defense, and 24 res. Raphael has attack and defense super boost, which is very nice, but that 59 base HP is amazing to see in the year 2025. If you can believe it or not, 59 HP is not the highest for a base 5-star unit. All the way back in year 1, Arden came in with a meme stat line of 60 HP, and no one has come close to beating that since till Raphael here. Now, he won't beat second place overall due to Dragon Flowers, but still, 59 HP is quite something. Now, in exchange for this very high health, Raphael is one of those arm units with middling low 30 speed and actually not great base res. If you're looking for a balanced tank, then Raphael's magical bulk will be his weakness, especially as he gets hit more often. He might be a unit who may want to run those newer physical savior skills. For his weapon, Raphael has the Melee Axe Plus. Foes within 3 rows or columns get inflicted with -5 stats and defensive tempo, which neutralizes extra special charging skills. At start of combat, if above 25% health, the user deals true damage equal to 5 times the number of foes within 3 spaces of the target. This will include the main target, so you just need 3 surrounding enemies, and Melee Axe can give the user 20 true damage per hit. If you squint your eyes, Melee Axe is almost like Grimel's Boat Axe. However, if you squint even harder, then you'll realize that this is actually the same weapon as Spring Lonku's Spring Air Axe from earlier this year. This weapon has some support aspects and defensive tempo is nice to knock around breath type cooldown effects. For the 20 true damage part, it's not bad for an inheritable, but unlike those new arcane weapons, you need to fight grouped up enemies for this. If you just fight a single lone enemy, you only get 5 true damage and that's kinda eh. Melee Axe isn't the worst inheritable, but we already have it, and activating the true damage is kinda tough on a 1 movement armor unit. Raphael has taken this into consideration with his base kit. He has Ignis for his special to utilize his high defense, and then Bold Fighter for a player phase follow-up with Blade type cooldown. To actually get in range of groups of enemies, Raphael brings Assault Troop 3 to the free-to-play pool. If you have 100% HP, or if there's an ally within 3 rows or columns, then the user gets Charge. Charge allows for 3-space warp movement, and it's a pretty great ability for armor units. It works for any sword, axe, or lance unit, and it can activate every turn, unlike even or odd Tempest. Now, we do have an Assault Troop Sacred Seal already, but if you want it in the C slot, and you want to inherit its Assault Rush upgrade, then this is a nice free-to-play fodder skill. If you plan to merge Raphael, then the True Nature gives him +1 HP, attack, and defense. That is totally fine to keep, but you could also go for the attack or defense super boons. Honestly, since he's one of the few HP investors, an HP boon could be fun as well. For free-to-play Axe Armor Comparisons, normally Raphael would be in a kinda terrible position. Barely a year old is Marnie, who I think will safely say is by far the best Grand Hero battle unit they've given us in terms of like meta impact. Every single arena team has a Marnie due to her scoring really well, and the fact she is very bulky with Miracle. She might not be the deadliest unit, but a lot of regular units just can't break her down without having to deal with the rest of the team as well. Now, while Marnie has an amazing unique weapon and a mostly min-max tank stat spread, take notice that Raphael has 212 BST. If we count the +1 merge bonus, Raphael isn't just 1 BST bin ahead of Marnie, he is 2 bins ahead. From reading comments and double checking with the arena scoring calculators, I'm pretty sure this means Raphael scores higher than Marnie. I believe that also makes him the new highest scoring arena unit for the free-to-play friendly options. Because this is a very small increase, I kinda doubt everyone is going to build a Raphael just to replace their already invested Marnies. However, if you don't use Marnie and you kinda want a very high scoring arena unit, then Raphael might be the unit for you. Just to take a look at the other Axe Armors, Uther did release after Marnie, and he actually is very respectable demote for himself. No unique weapon, but min-max stats is pretty nice. If you go back a few years, Valentine's Vanguard, Murdoch, and Ludwig are all kind of those armors where you're not sure if their extra speed is worth having. They are still decent though, but we can see just how far ahead Raphael is in HP while being far behind in res. Last, I always like to highlight Sheena because she was the only demote option until Uther released last year. The only real downside is her terrible base attack stat, but defensively Sheena ain't too bad for a launch unit. She also has a pretty badass resplendent outfit. Moving on, for budget builds, Raphael can resort to the usual quick riposte, enemy phase playstyle. He can use Slick or Wily Fighter, and Special Fighter can offer bread type cooldown along with Guard. Very simple, but not the best for melee Axe, which wants to get in the action with multiple foes nearby. As mentioned earlier, Raphael's base kit is a rare player phase armor setup. He can move 3 spaces in a line, get a follow-up attack with Bolt Fighter, plus get blade type cooldown. He cannot proc Ignis unless you use Special Fighter as a Sacred Seal, so you might want to use Bonfire instead. For aid skills and Sacred Seals, you could use Attack and Defense solo, which is unusual on an armor, or you can go with Attack and Defense Ideal / Solid Ground. Now the main issue with this fun build is that Raphael is going to be stuck in the open after. Back in the day, player phasing armors worked because they kind of just outstatted you in enemy phase anyway. That's not going to fly against any moderately decent attacker, and Raphael has no res, so he's extra vulnerable to mages. The only partial retreat option is to run the Bolt Fighter Sacred Seal and use Hit and Run in the B slot. Not amazing, but better than nothing, I guess. You could try to prevent doubles by using even or odd follow-up, but that's kinda inconsistent. It is an Omni Breaker option, although I guess you could break out the old Lance Breaker or something. Speaking of which, you could use Bolt Fighter with Quick Riposte's successors, Wily or Slick Fighter, follow-ups on either phase, but no follow-up denial. For more invested builds, Raphael has an arsenal free-to-play accessible and heritable axes specializing in attack and defense. Doubler Axe or Tropical Conch can give team attack and defense buffs, Anchor Axe can give plus 20 attack and defense with Guard, and Wind Tribe Club has a player phase follow-up, so you could use that for a player phase build. These are all fine, but it's going to be incredibly tough to beat Ninja Shez's Ninja Chakrams, dual phase brave hits, plus 5 stats, 15 true damage, 10 flat DR, and 7 HP healing on hit. It's no Erica ring, but for a free weapon, the Chakrams are kind of insane. If you want to give Raphael his gauntlets back, then these are a great pick for any kind of build. For a general game plan, you can use any of the true damage / flat DR follow-up fighter skills, so that could be Assault Fighter for 50% piercing, Wily Fighter for buff neutralization, or Slick Fighter for debuff neutralization. If the enemy doesn't bring no follow-up, Raphael could just get a quad attack with his great base attack stat. Now when it comes to save your enemy phasing, you could use Special Fighter for bread type cooldown. After you tank 1 hit, Raphael's first brave hit can charge 4 cooldown Ignis or Flame Wall. His second hit will proc the special for a nice counterattack. One issue with this is that Raphael won't activate the 40% DR of Flame Wall or even Armored Blaze unless the enemy is using a special. If you want guaranteed unpierceable % DR for first attacks, then you could use Arch Rival or Comet. Honestly, this might be a preferred special over the other 40% DR specials because you also don't need Twin Save to help against brave hits. Now the weakness of Arch Rival / Comet is that they don't give % DR for follow-up attacks. This means you kinda wanna go for the KO immediately with the counterattack. The 5 cooldown is also an issue, but brave hits can help solve this in the absence of slaying. Now for any kind of savior build, you might want to consider the physical save skills. There is no twin piece save yet, so another reason Arch Rival / Comet might be better. For distant counter, besides the Echo or Sacred Seal, you could also use distant attack and defense form. Shifting gears to a pure defensive build, Raphael could use his super high base HP along with the strong shield fighter with double slaying Pavis. 75% unpierceable DR is really tough to crack, and Raphael can use this with all hits except the last quad attack or a potent follow-up. Due to the increase of potent, this might be an issue, but shield fighter is still pretty crazy, and % DR gets even better the more HP you have to play with. The main trouble with shield fighter is you really want double slaying, so an arcane weapon plus Emblem Mart's ring is needed. You also basically give up any chance of killing stuff unless maybe Reflex can soak up a huge first hit. Nothing wrong with Savior, but it's boring, so let's talk about player phase sets. The Chakrams are once again fascinating for aggressive builds, quad attacks with 3 movement via Assault Troop, and you can honestly get a decent mixed phase playstyle if you want to use Arch Rival / Comet for the guaranteed 40% damage reduction. Like the Savior builds, we got Flat DR to stack on top and Special Fighter for cooldown. It's going to require more than 2 hits to proc these 5 cooldown specials, although both specials have their own charging methods. Now if you want to go all in on initiating, you can use Valentine's Edelgard's kit. She should be rerunning when Raphael is available to plus 10, although it should be kinda obvious that Raphael doesn't have any kind of extra action / Kanto like that Edelgard has. We do have Kanto supports out there though. Now Edelgard can give Armored Blaze, Slice 30 Blow, and Assault Rush. Sly gives a follow-up, and Assault Rush is just better Assault Troop, and you get +1 movement, Preempt Pulse, and extra attack buffs. With Arcane Giant Axe, Raphael can instantly proc Armored Blaze and activate the 40% DR. You would need Bread type cooldown for a second proc on the follow-up though. Now the main issue is that it's very easy to stop Raphael's follow-up attack. If you can't kill in the first hit or you don't give him brave attacks, then he may fall flat. This is where Patience can come into play. Thanks to his awkward 31 base speed, Patience is going to give a guaranteed potent follow-up. If Raphael's natural follow-up is stopped, the potent hit will deal 100% damage. If he does double naturally, you get a third hit at 50% strength. Now instead of Armored Blaze, we could try to proc Arch Rival or Comet. If you run Breath type cooldown, then the enemy first hits you, you get -2 cooldown. On his first hit, Giant Axe and Assault Rush give -2 instant cooldown, so you can proc these 5 cooldown specials. You could add Reflex into the mix for a potentially nasty one-shot. For an alteration, Patience can also use Hardy Bearing to turn off the enemy Vantage effect. One reason to do this is if you can't get enough cooldown for an immediate special proc. Normally, Patience will let the enemy attack, Raphael attacks, and if he fails to get the KO, the enemy attacks again. This is very bad because Arch Rival / Comet no longer gives their % damage reduction. By using Hardy Bearing, Raphael attacks first, the enemy counters, and now Raphael gets to use the guaranteed follow-up. This can give him extra time to charge his special because we want to go for the big knockout blow. This could be better for when the 4th Arcane Axe appears because it probably isn't going to have Preempt Pulse. I would try to get a source of no guard support though. Besides on defense wave 4, you can't really get that perk in an armor build. Before I move on, just to list some other skills, Diluvial Boost is just amazing with its +9 attack, defense and res, +5 HP and 7 HP healing. Earthfire Boost is okay, but it's the lower tier premium. For the standard savior builds, Arcane Sling weapons with armored specials can be pre-charged with Counter Fighter. This playstyle is getting countered by Arch Rival though, and there are quite a lot of sword users with that skill. For an alternate B skill, one that could be very effective with Frozen support, there is Pair Up. Tougher to double, and you still get true damage and flat DR. For C skills, Breath of Life 4 would be great, but obviously Savior usually takes that spot. For Echo skills, not the best selection besides Distant Counter, but you could still grab Guard Echo for some % damage reduction, and then Sly Echo for the player phase follow-up. In conclusion, should you 5-star Raphael? As an Axe Armor unit, he specializes in HP, which is good, with any kind of % DR effects. But Raphael is sacrificing resistance, so he's not the best to balance tank. Very good attack and defense though. In terms of skills, Melee Axe is just a reprint of an older Seasonal, but Assault Troop is nice as a 3-space warping tool. Free lead into Edelgard's Assault Rush if you can get her. Now despite having to follow up one of the greatest free-to-play units in the game's history, Raphael could outscore Marnie. This does give him a legitimate use case, although how many players are going to replace Marnie if they already built her? If you are looking for a higher scoring arena unit though, then Raphael is an option. We talked about some fun player phase sets, but I assume most builds will be sticking with the tried and true Savior route. Nothing wrong with that, but Raphael definitely isn't going to want to tank Mages and Dragons. That's all to say for this video. Go beat Raphael's Grand Hero Battle map. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.